Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Rock and Roll Denim's 2023 NFR pre-show. We've got Rodeo's finest and guest. We're going to go through some of the NFR contestants this year, hear their story, what they're doing to get ready, because it's going to be a really good NFR. So put on your Rock and Roll Denims, sit back, and listen to the greats, old son. Welcome, Mr. Sage Kimzey.
Appreciate it.
Two of the world's greatest right here.
Yep.
The same table.
One that's, not arguably best sport writer of all time, and then got another guy too.
And we will let you decide which is which.
You got another guy too.
How many world titles is it?
7.
I was trying to think about that a while ago. You're going for 8. Let's skip to. I just want to start with that.
Yeah, just dive right in.
They call him 8X. I can't remember who said that. Who called him that? Was it yesterday? Was that you? Yeah. He was like, yeah, 8X was over there, and we just knew. I knew exactly who you were talking about, and you knew I knew who you were talking about. And
that's crazy, isn't it?
That's wild. And that's what he's
to appreciate the fact that everybody knows Donnie Gay by the amount of world titles that he won. That's all you have to say.
8X.
Yeah. You're like, oh.
Yeah.
That's cool.
He set the bar.
Yeah.
I heard he rodeoed his face off.
Oh, yeah.
And went. Has that been your approach?
It's kind of funny to see like the evolution of my career, because definitely at the start. So there's always like these two thoughts about how you can make the national finals rodeo or how you can win the world. Like just be successful in rodeo, I guess. And it's either you can out rodeo them or you can out ride them.
Yes.
And so like whenever I set out, I was like, well, I'm just going to do both. And that was just my thought for years and years. The older I get, my body can't take the punishment that it used to be able to take. And I'm still young. I'm 29 years old, but like the days of me going and getting on 200 bulls a year are in the rearview mirror for sure.
Right.
So it's like more so now it's more about like capitalizing on my good opportunities.
So I don't know that we lined it out in this quick conversation exactly, but essentially one of Sage's goals is to win the most world titles.
Yep.
Right. And so he's got 7, and the record holder is Don Gay with 8. But you're going into, is this your 10th NFR?
9th.
9th NFR.
Yeah.
So 7 out of 9, 7 out of 8, you won the world.
Yeah.
And you're going into number 9. What are you sitting right now?
Like 10th.
10th.
Yeah, injuries kind of plagued my regular season this year, so a little bit behind the 8 ball, which is the first time ever. This is the first time I haven't come in number 1 to the finals. So it's kind of crazy. But
what's the spread?
Oh, Stetson's got like a couple 100,000 on me, I think.
I
So it's going to be tough for sure.
But it took a lot to make the NFR this year, didn't it?
Oh, yeah, I don't know exactly, but I think 10th was like 130, or 15th was 130.
So having had a gap in your, I mean, it's still impressive that you're 10th.
Yeah.
Haven't had that much of a gap in your season. Because how many months were you out?
About 6.5 months total.
Dadgum.
Yeah. Yeah, like
Dang.
I missed all the fall. I came back too early from my shoulder in Fort Worth. Rodeoed for like a month and a half-ish. Tore one of my growing muscles off my pelvis in San Antonio.
Yeah.
Had to take another like month off, and then broke my collarbone in Cheyenne. That was another month and a half. So,
Golly.
yeah, it was rough.
And thankfully they didn't have to do surgery on the collarbone, huh?
No, they did. They
They
fixed
did?
it. Yeah.
Tandy?
Yeah, Tandy fixed it like August. Happened whatever day it was, the end of July, and then he fixed it like August 2nd.
Were you able to get on any in September?
I got on one at New Braunfels.
Right at the end.
Yeah, that was like that, and that was my 40th rodeo too, because I had to get my rodeo count. So
Yeah. Dang.
it was pretty cool.
Yeah, so you got to go to at least 40, but you can't official. How many can you official?
Our max is 125.
125. It's more in the bull ride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which really it doesn't make sense, because like going to 125 all year, like that's rodeoing all year long. Like I've only went to more than that one time.
Yeah, why even put a limit on it?
And at that point, it's like either make a legit limit to where you have your guys that win the most there, or just take it off, because it only affects like 5 guys a year max, really, the limit the way it is now. And it's like, why are you going to hurt some 18-year-old that's, wanting to go out there and make a name for himself, make a living. It's like, just take it off.
But he doesn't know which one's to official and unofficial. Yeah.
Well, and it is. It's like the minimums, the maximums. Just take it all off.
Right.
Doesn't matter. Let the best guys be the best guys. And whether they want to outwork someone, I'm fine with that. Like, if it took you 200 rodeos a year to make it to the NFR, and like you're tough enough and dedicated enough and have the motivation to go do that, like you come put your bag right beside me in the Thomas and Mack, and I'm cool with it. You know what I mean? So it's, like I said, just take all the counts off.
Essentially what we're talking about is, they set up these parameters where, like I said, in the bull riding, you need to go to at least 40 rodeos to make the NFR, but you can go to more than 125, but let's say you go to 130, those 5, and you have to claim this on the phone before the rodeo. You can either official or unofficial. And so there's these middle of the road rodeos, maybe 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 added, where, man, I don't know if I want to count this to my world standings because, there's bigger ones. But on the other hand, if you do win at it, well, then you'll wish like, well, dang, I should have. Yeah. And so it's a game that you have to play in rodeo, and that makes it unique. The rules are set up to allow some of the up and comers to have a chance. Am I right? Some of those parameters.
Well, I think definitely it's yes, I think originally it was probably like this wide net that they casted to protect your older, way more talented guys that have been around a long time, that are, perennial favorites, to where they didn't have to rodeo as hard, because a lot of us, have families and whatever else, and like we don't want to be gone for 45 weeks out of the year. So like that's where your maximums come in. And then I don't know, man. To me, they're trying to level a playing field when it's like it's sports. You don't level a sport playing field, because that's the thing is, so you take out a guy that wants to just out rodeo everybody. You take his advantage off of the equation, which would be work ethic, by putting a maximum on it. And then the minimum makes no sense, because if Cody Old can go win, Houston, Cheyenne, win 10 rodeos and make the finals, like who cares? Like that's awesome.
Right.
Good for you.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and the reason it comes up in conversations like this, where we're just talking about going into an NFR, is because it plays a factor in how you rodeo and the decisions that you make as a rodeo cowboy. Yeah. And, yeah, it's crazy to think and watch and see guys that, like, you got to be able to ride good. That's number one. But then you also have to rodeo smart.
Oh, the business side of it is, like, it's so difficult, too. Because there's not, like, a handbook. You know what I mean? Like, you go to the NFL, and chances are whatever team you go to has this like drawn out plan that like this is what you're going to be doing every second of every day, and like you have your free time and whatever else. It's like rodeo, man, you turn 18 and freaking buy your stuff and just hit the road. You either make it or you don't.
Yes.
18 years old.
Yeah.
What?
That's what, yeah, Orrin Larson was saying the same thing. It was just, we were talking about like getting ready for a professional career, and maybe you're 21, 22 before you're really making money, but it's like, no, but they're not going to keep you from buying your card at 18.
Yeah.
Like you can just go to whatever you want. You get to be the boss of that.
Yeah.
And some guys it works out for as early as 18, 19, like it did for you. What were you doing the years leading up to that to get ready to go pro at 18?
That's a good question. It's something I haven't ever really thought of. I guess like doing what I thought I was supposed to get ready. I went to a bunch of open rodeos, getting on practice bulls all the time. Luckily, one of my good buddies just had kind of gotten in the bull game, Clay Taylor. So he always had like practice bulls over there, and he was a little older than me. He was probably 24, 25 at the time, had rodeoed some. So he kind of like already knew all of the ropes, and like definitely knew what to stay away from. So he always knew like the right stock to put me on, and the little things to help me become a better bull rider. Like I had him in my corner the whole time. So like under his tutelage, I'd say that was probably like the number one thing, was just getting on a bunch of bulls, because there's nothing that makes you ride bulls better than getting on bulls, period.
At 17, let's say, how many practice bulls might you get on in a week or a practice session?
So really, I would probably go to 1, maybe 2 practice sessions a week, and I'd only get on probably 2 or 3 bulls each time.
Gotcha.
Like, because my thing, every time I went to a practice session, I went like with a very deliberate objective. Like I feel like most people just practice because they think that's what they're supposed to do, instead of like really trying to get better at whatever it is. So if my objective was to like get to the front. If I did that, I don't really care about the 8-second whistle or like getting the ride. Like that wasn't what I was there for. You know what I mean? And it's whether I wanted to like, you know, be strong with my core or like get up on my legs or like whatever my objective was that practice. If I did that, I was good with it. And whether that took one bull or, you know, 5, that was what I was going to work on.
What were you doing between practice sessions?
Working out. Didn't have a clue what I was doing, but, you know, just working out because I knew that was important.
Did you use a drop barrel or anything?
Yeah. Made a drop barrel in my ag class, probably my 7th grade year. Wore that thing out, stationary barrel, all the drills. Probably the best thing I ever did for my bull riding. You know, we were little redneck kids growing up in western Oklahoma, and we had a bunch of old barn sour roping horses and we had like probably little 5-acre traps that we kicked them out in or whatever. Well, these traps, they had big trees and some undulation, like a bunch of hills going up and down, whatever. And we thought it was great fun. Like I said, being little redneck kids, we'd go out there and jump on one of these barn sour roping horses, just nothing on, you know, just bareback, no bridle, no nothing, just get a main hold and freaking kick them around the pasture. Well, like looking back on that now, like, 'cause there's a lot of times you had to duck under trees or whatever. Like a lot of times you had your eyes closed, like just whipping and riding, you know what I mean? But it really gave me like a really good feel for an animal that like I feel like most guys just don't, like they don't have because, we spent hours just out there kicking around them roping horses, you know. And it was like, close your eyes. You got to know where them things are going.
Right.
So it gave me like this sixth sense, I guess, about just animals, just from being around them that much.
Fast forward now, what do your practice sessions look like, or do you have any?
Number one thing for me right now is like trying to balance getting on a lot of bulls and like staying sharp and balancing my health to where everything is working right and I feel good getting on a bull. So I don't get on hardly any practice bulls anymore because I feel like if you feel good enough to get on practice bulls, you should be entered. But it's one of those things too, like every competition I'm in, like I use it as like a learning tool too. It's not just about like going and just trying to get the whistle. It's like, no, like let's figure out how to do this. Like the most optimal way you can ride a bull, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
So like I'm in competition a lot and it's just kind of how it is. Like I still spend a ton of time on the stationary and drop barrel, and a ton of time in the gym, but that's pretty much it. Visually for me though, like visualizing stuff and the mental side is where I feel like I've really excelled over the course of my career, big time. Like I've always been a real like kind of a dreamer, I guess. So I don't know. Like I feel like it gives me a bunch more reps that most guys probably don't get. Yeah.
Is there like when you're driving down the road or right before the ride, or when do you do that?
All of it. Yeah. So like, and I don't know, you hear a lot of like the old school cowboys that are like, oh, I don't want to see the bulls I'm getting on. And like, I just want to react and ride. And like, that just makes no sense to me. There's no sports team in the world that's like, don't watch film of the team you're going up against. Nobody says that.
Right.
Like ignorance is not bliss in sports, straight up. So like that's for me is the one thing I've always been really good at. I can watch film and I can know how that bull is going to feel, like his bucking style and like direction and everything else is very subject to change because everybody's always like, you know, well, they're animals, they have their own thoughts and feelings and they're going to do whatever. But it's like, if you know the general way a bull bucks, you can know how it's going to feel. And it's going to change like where your center of gravity needs to be. If you need to be a little more forward, if you need to be a little more back, like how much centripetal force and whip a bull's going to have, like how much power he's going to have. Like you can dissect all of that pretty good before you ever get on. So then there's nothing that's like, oh, wow. And like I don't get surprised very much whenever I get on a bull.
Right.
Because like I said, I feel like I'm really good at doing that.
It seems like you have a very correct and consistent form and style on riding bulls. Who did you model yourself after, or did you?
Everybody. That was the thing. So like I was always really small growing up. And everybody like teaches sport from their personal successes, right? So it's one of those things that like what works for a guy like Owen Washburn wouldn't work for me. I mean, he's 6'3". He's a mountain of a man. But there's also like certain little things like like Jim Sharp always stayed so in control. So like if you can have the control of Jim Sharp, if you can have the dedication of Donnie Gay, if you can have, you know, the grit and determination of Tough, if you can put all of these like great attributes together, to me that was where like the meat of it all laid. You know what I mean? So that was my thing. Like I tried to learn from everyone.
Yeah. What has changed for you rodeoing now with a kiddo?
It's hard to leave the house.
Yeah.
I know that. And especially now, because he's like getting to the point he's almost 2, and it's my heart is torn every time I have to leave that little boy, for sure. But honestly, like, and even when Alexis was pregnant, like, you know, had a rough go, and we were in the hospital for like probably a week together, just me and her, you know, waiting on Steele to be delivered, and it was one of those things, like, it brought a whole new meaning to my life that I didn't even know was out there. Because it's one of those things, too, like, my motivation has changed so much over the years. Like, I've been doing this a decade now, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
Whenever you come out 18, 19 years old, like, all you want to do is freaking have a good time, hang out, party, do whatever, you know, win a bunch of money and spur Bramers. That's literally, like, that was as short as my list was. And like over time, my whole motivation has evolved, and then it went to, you know, well, I want to make enough money that like financially I'm going to be stable, and then like enter Alexis the second year, and it's like, well, I definitely want to be able to provide for her, and then it's like you add a kid into the mix, and it's a whole different ball game, man. It's like, because like not only are you riding to like make sure financially that your family's secure, but like every move you make, everything's on film now nowadays. So it's like every move you make, Steele's going to see at some point.
Right. Yeah, that's heavy.
Yeah. You're going to set a good example, bad example, whatever, you know. It's like,
right.
So that like that's where all of my motivation comes from now, is like not just, you hear it all the time about, you know, like whether he's a great bull rider or this and that. Like there's been hundreds of great bull riders. But as far as being like great men and great world champions and great men of God and the leader of their household spiritually and everything, it's like, that's a heavy burden to carry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
I guess that's probably a bittersweet thing that you know, it sucks that you missed so much of your year, but you also got to be at home with him.
Oh, it was the hardest and best year of my life, honestly.
Yeah.
Which is like crazy to think about, you know what I mean? Laid up on the couch, arm in a sling. But it's like, 100%. Last year was, and it was cool too, because like with the PBR hiring me to come in and do the commentary, like I still got my bull riding fix on the weekend.
I saw that.
You know what I mean? So it was like, most guys get hurt and they don't see or talk to anybody or have any connection with the rodeo world, and like they have this like withdrawal period of it. And like I didn't even have that, because I was like going to the bull ridings on the weekend, seeing my buddies, and then just getting to spend all day and all night with my family.
Right.
During the week. So it was pretty good.
How are y'all going to do Vegas? I mean, like casino-wise, or?
It's gonna take lots of help. So I don't gamble, thank goodness, because I have not a whole lot of self-control, so I'm glad that that's not a vice that I fall into. So, yeah, it won't really be in casinos. You know, we'll stay together out there.
But, I mean, will you stay in one?
Yeah. We'll stay in a casino for sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's more work on Alexis than it is for me. Like, she does a really good job.
Yeah, because she's still going to have stuff to do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure her schedule's pretty full, too.
Yeah. No, her schedule stays pretty full, but, like, and she's super mom, straight up.
Yeah.
And like, just has to be, you know what I mean? Just doesn't really have a choice.
Yeah, you got to do it, so you do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we're going to have a babysitter out with us, and that'll give us a little bit of a break. But for the most part, it is what it is.
Cool, man. Well, it's great to hear some of your insight and get some of that, you know, man, everybody's cheering you on.
I appreciate it.
Anybody who isn't, just on to the next one. But, I mean, we all want to see you. 10X sounds really cool.
Sounds good. Sounds
10X
good.
sounds cool.
Yeah.
Well, we're cheering for you. Thanks for coming on.
Appreciate it.
What rock and roll denims do you like to wear?
My favorite jeans are the Huey and rock and roll collaboration. The raw denim, I love those. And then competition wise, something with a little bit of stretch in it.
The reflex.
Like, the reflex is unreal. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's Sage Kimzey, ladies and gentlemen. Watch out for him. Look out for him at the 2023 NFR. On to the next one, old son.